All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and, yeah, most controversial energy sources out there, nuclear energy. But how does it actually work? Today, we're going to break down the essential science, starting with that tiny little atomic spark that powers the whole thing.
So it really all boils down to this one kind of mind-blowing question, right? How can one tiny, invisible atom pack enough punch to power an entire city? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but believe it or not, that's the fundamental reality the entire nuclear industry is built on.
And the answer to that question, it comes down to one word: fission. Now, the idea itself is actually pretty straightforward. You take a tiny particle, a neutron, and you shoot it at a big, heavy atom, something like uranium-235. That one little hit is all it takes to split that atom right in two. And when it splits, bam! It unleashes a crazy amount of energy. That is the atomic spark we're talking about.
Okay, but one little spark isn't going to power anything, right? The real magic, the secret sauce, is the chain reaction. See, when that first atom splits, it doesn't just release energy. It also spits out a few more neutrons. And what do those new neutrons do? You guessed it. They go and hit other uranium atoms, which then split and release even more neutrons, and so on and so on. It's like a domino effect, a cascade that just keeps going, releasing a truly incredible amount of power.
Now, you're probably thinking, wait, doesn't that sound an awful lot like a bomb? And you're not wrong. The key difference is one crucial word: control. Inside a nuclear reactor, this whole chain reaction is very carefully managed. It's slowed down, it's controlled, so instead of a massive explosion, you get a steady, constant stream of intense heat. And that heat, well, that's what boils water, creates steam, spins a turbine, and generates electricity. This controlled reaction is the engine behind every single nuclear power plant on Earth.
But, this amazing science didn't exactly start out with the goal of powering our homes. The first controlled chain reaction happened back in the 1940s. And at the time, let's be real, the world was focused on its destructive potential. That all started to pivot, though, in 1953. That's when President Eisenhower gave his famous Atoms for Peace speech, and he suggested something pretty radical.
And the promise back then was huge. I mean, it was incredibly ambitious. The whole idea was to take this terrifying, world-changing force and flip it on its head, to turn it into a tool for good, for progress, to provide clean, almost limitless electricity to literally build a better world for everyone.
So fast forward to today, after all those decades, how did that grand vision turn out? Well, you can pretty much boil it down to one number: 10%. Now, that might just sound like a simple figure, but behind it is a massive global industry and a really important piece of our modern energy puzzle.
I know, 10% might not sound like a world-changing revolution, but let's put that number into perspective for a second. When you look at the whole global electricity pie, nuclear is a huge slice. In fact, and this might surprise you, it generates more electricity than all the solar panels and wind turbines in the entire world combined.
Yeah, really. When you're talking about clean, low-carbon power, nuclear is an absolute heavyweight. It is the second largest source of low-carbon electricity on the entire planet. The only thing that beats it? Hydropower. You'd have to add up the power from every single major dam in the world to top it. But maybe its most important job, its superpower really, is something called baseload power. Think about it. Solar and wind are amazing, but they're flaky. They only work when the sun is out or the wind is blowing. Nuclear is the complete opposite. It's the workhorse. It runs 24/7, rain or shine, day and night. It provides that constant, steady hum of electricity that our grid absolutely has to have to stay stable. So let's recap. We've got a powerful, super reliable, low-carbon energy source that was born from this incredible vision of peace. It sounds perfect, right? The ultimate solution? Well, as you might have guessed, it's not that simple. This powerful legacy comes with some pretty major challenges. And that really brings us to the core conflict, the big question we have to ask. Is nuclear energy the clean energy dream we were all promised? Or is it a dangerous legacy, one that's haunted by old plants and the terrifying memory of accidents? It's this huge paradox, and it sits right at the heart of our energy future. And that paradox? That's exactly where we're going next time. We are going to dive headfirst into the fierce debate surrounding nuclear power, looking at the incredible pros and the very real cons. So make sure you join us for that as we unpack the nuclear paradox.